The guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in mourning. Deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. Someone on Reddit posted, "I'm so incredibly grateful I lived in a world that included Stan Lee. Personally, I'm grateful I lived in a world that included oxygen and trees, but to each his own."
Oh my God. God damn it.
All right. Welcome to Waiting to Dry, the art podcast for people who don't even listen to art podcasts.
Blah, blah, blah.
My name is Sergio Lopez.
Hell yeah.
And you are.
Hell yeah. And I am Joshua Lawyer. Oh yeah.
First time we've been together, just us two, for a while now.
Yeah.
Probably more than a month at this point.
Pretty romantic.
Pretty romantic.
The lights are off. Candles are lit. We're looking deeply into each other's eyes.
Kiss me out of the bearded barley.
So yeah,
that's the new development in our podcast.
Still a work in progress, but pretty soon it'll be as ridiculous.
Entirely obnoxious, yes.
Yeah. But yeah.
So yeah, we've been. You've been out of the country for most of the time that we haven't been recording.
Yeah, I went to Thailand. That was awesome.
It was.
Yeah, I saw elephants and stuff.
Little baby elephants.
Yeah, little asshole elephants.
What made them assholes?
Well, what they don't tell you is like, because we went to like this like sanctuary where it's like the main one that I think that started kind of all of them. I believe it was like this lady who they have documentaries about her and everything, and she kind of started this thing. But most of like those sanctuaries, if you can ride the elephant, it's like they're training the elephants to let you ride them. So there's some sort of like darkness to them or whatever.
Oh.
So this sanctuary, they don't let you ride them, and they let the elephants kind of be the elephants. And so in Elephant World, little baby elephants are kind of like the assholes of the bunch because they're just immature. And it's like a immature child that has like a posse that has his back no matter what. So,
right.
So this little elephant will like do whatever it wants. It'll like run and like charge you.
Oh shit.
And can like, I mean, they're not as like, they're little, but they're not like, they're like, I don't know, like 800 pounds or something like that probably. I don't know. And so they could hurt you, and then they might freak out if you tried to like stop them, and then they'll cry, and then the fully grown elephants will like come and kill you potentially.
Yeah.
So it was weird because when we saw like fully grown elephants, we could hang out with them and like pet them and like hug them and stuff like that and feed them. And the baby elephant part, it's like you get the vibe from like the elephant sanctuary that they're like, when the baby elephant starts walking towards you, they're like, step back. And
Oh, really?
Okay, be very careful.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was awesome, but...
Did you get up close to the baby elephants at all?
Yeah, no one touched them at all, but you got like maybe a foot, 2 feet from them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was weird because you were kind of like on edge the entire time, but whatever. It was still awesome.
Good selfie opportunity either way.
Yeah, MJ was like, because we like went on a hike with these fully grown elephants, and we fed them the entire way. And you're in like the Thailand jungle, so it's like this crazy, like it's like visually super stunning and different than anything I've ever been in, like environment wise. I've never been in like jungles where it's like banana trees and coconut trees and like all these like there was like these couple like Thai jungle people that were like the people that kind of were like helping the elephants like follow us. You know, like if like one elephant stayed behind, they would kind of hang out with they were like the elephant people. Like all the elephants kind of seemed to have a person that was their guy or whatever. And and one of the elephant guys, he was like this crazy guy, and he just like ran into like the jungle full speed and came out with like 3 lychees and was just like eating them in a bush by like himself. So but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it was super awesome. Then we like fed them and made other like rice like balls for them that we fed with like medicine or something.
Oh really? Oh.
A lot of the sanctuary, they're like all like injured elephants from the logging company and all that.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever. Yeah. So a lot of them have like broken legs, and one had a broken back. At the sanctuary. But yeah, we fed them, and then we went on like river rapids down this river to the sanctuary from our hike.
Oh, really?
Where were like the bulk of elephants were. It was like, I don't know how many, maybe 100 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Elephants.
Damn, I didn't know there were that many.
Yeah, it was crazy. And they had like water buffalo, and I think they have like 500 dogs they rescued, and a crazy amount of cats, and just like all these random animals. There was this weird, crazy part where like a herd of water buffaloes were crossing the river when we were walking up, and it was like, and you're surrounded by jungle, so it feels weird, like I don't know, like this weird thing that you've never. It just feels like pretend or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like you're stepped inside a movie set or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it was super awesome. It reminded me when I saw like when we walked into the sanctuary. It reminded me of, you know, the opening scene of or one of the early scenes to Jurassic Park where the lady, she's like looking at the humongous leaf, and the other guy's like, "There's a fucking dinosaur."
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that in a weird way. But yeah, it was super awesome. Yeah.
Was that the highlight, you think?
Yeah. Me and MJ both agree that was probably the best day of our life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She was like, I know we had like our wedding and everything,
Yeah,
but like this was way better. And I was like, I know, right? Like, this is, but
was it 110 degrees out there too?
No, it wasn't too bad. It was like, I don't know. It was mostly in the 80s for most of the days. Bad. The last couple of days when we were in the islands, like the tropical part, it was like brutal. I think I had to change my clothes like 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
And just shower every time because you're just sticky but yeah, it is what it is. But
yeah, you kind of expect that going to the jungle.
Yeah, but the jungle like up north was like cool, maybe like late, like deep 70s, maybe like 76 or something. I don't know. Whatever, but super nice. Food was delicious. Some food wasn't so great. There were good smells and bad smells. But yeah, it was overall just like a super fun time. We like can't wait to go travel more now, which is cool. I want to see other stuff.
Yeah. Does that make you want to? I mean, you already wanted to travel more to begin with, but that just makes you want to do it more.
Yeah, it kind of puts like an incentive to save money and, you know, eat out less and things like that.
Right.
Just to go see other countries. Yeah. I mean, I've been wanting to go see Europe for a long time. And we've got like, there's a couple of guests that were on that are all in Europe now. Yeah.
Got 2 places to stay now.
Well, after this year, it'll be 3 because Melanie.
That's right. Yeah.
She's moving to Portugal, so.
Which I heard is beautiful as well.
Yeah. So, and I want to go to all 3 of those areas. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go all at once, but.
Right. Yeah, that's probably a bit much.
Yeah, but definitely. Do you have any plans of travel?
I mean, it's the same plans of travel that I've always had that I just never get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, even just a little bit of traveling that I did, like nothing that new about where I traveled this summer. Just went up to Oregon like I do every year. But even then, it's just like, I need to do this more and do more places. But
for sure.
Yeah, it was just such a long time that because I'd probably spend almost a year before going out of the area again. And I was starting to feel a little bit complacent about it. Like thinking like, oh, maybe travel's not that important to me. Like I always think it is. It's until I actually do a little bit of it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. It reminded me of how much I actually wanted to do this more.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I think me and MJ both felt after this. Was like, God, we really need to put an effort to saving money for travel.
Right.
Yeah. So, because you went to Oregon, right? And Seattle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Quick trip up to Seattle. Yeah.
Nice.
Like half a day.
Have you knocked out a good chunk of the states?
I've knocked out a good chunk of the western states. I think I've been to all of them on the West Coast besides Alaska, and Hawaii. So I guess not. But, yeah, Southwest, I've been through all of it, but some states I just drove through really quickly, like New Mexico and Idaho.
Nothing to see there.
Not parts that I was in.
How dare you?
If you like,
Sir, how dare you
like
button?
tumbleweeds. What?
Sir, how dare you button?
Not yet.
But yeah, I've only
How about you? Yeah. How many states have you been through?
I think Nevada and Oregon and California, I think are the only ones I've been to.
Oh, really? Huh. Wow.
Yeah. I haven't seen much. I've been wanting to. I was supposed to see the Grand Canyon this summer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But we put that on the back burner. Still want to do
Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand. So we were like, oh, we'll just go to LA for a bit. So we went to LA instead. We probably could have like done like an LA and just done like a day trip to the Grand Canyon maybe. I don't know. I've heard different things. I've heard people say like, oh, you can do Grand Canyon and kind of do it in a day and be like, well, I saw that. Or you can like make a whole trip around it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Because the time I did it, I was passing through on my way back from Colorado. So I didn't have a lot of time to spend there. It was beautiful when I went. And it was this crazy like thunderstorm going through it. So it was so dramatic. Although it was like special lighting
That's
that
awesome.
I had there too. So I took a ton of photos, but I was only there for like 4 or 5 hours, which is not enough time to see much of it at all. Plus, you're basically just driving the rim, and so you're in traffic with everybody else at the same time. So
driving the rim,
yeah,
some sexual thing.
Sure is. But yeah, it's definitely like I could see how people could easily spend like a week there if you wanted to go hike down into the canyon itself, and do all that.
And they have like rafting there.
They do, yeah. I've seen people actually do paintings like from their raft.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
God.
it's pretty cool. Like do little quick plein air
How is that
paintings.
even possible?
Do little quick plein air paintings, like little little cigar box style paint box setups.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Show offs.
Yeah. They did it for the retweets and the likes.
That's awesome. Also, we had Turkey Day.
We did. Separate.
How was yours?
It was cool. My brother came up from Phoenix, so brought his family.
Turkey, did you eat it?
I did eat it.
Was it moist?
It actually was pretty good.
All right. Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congrats to my mom.
Yeah.
How was yours?
It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of did a lazy one because since we went to Thailand, we were pretty burnt out when we got back. And it was the very following week. So we just did like a small one with MJ's family. Usually I do the full on cook of pretty much everything.
And what does that entail for you?
The turkey, stuffing, sometimes macaroni and cheese, sometimes green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, gravy, feel like there's other things, but I'm not remembering.
Any sort of pumpkin pie or anything like that?
If we ever make a fresh pumpkin pie, like I think last year my sister made a fresh pumpkin pie from the pumpkins out of our garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and yeah, she made that, and that was like extremely good. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I can't remember if I'm forgetting anything. But I'm very particular. I've been doing Thanksgiving dinners for at least 10 years now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've just been slowly getting better and better at it. So whenever it's not like a normal Thanksgiving, like this one, I'm always just like, it's kind of a letdown. It's good because we didn't eat much. Like after, I wasn't like hurting with how full I was.
Mm-hmm. Do you usually do that though?
No.
Yeah, especially I don't really do the whole
cooking.
Gorging on Thanksgiving Day thing.
But there is like sometimes where you eat at like 1 and then you'll eat like at 3 and then you'll eat at like 5.
Yeah.
You won't ever be full, but you'll never be hungry. It's like this weird thing. I should close my fucking windows. Let me close my windows.
All right. So Thanksgiving was cool.
Yeah, Thanksgiving was cool. It was pretty mellow this year. Mm-hmm. Not too much family.
Oh, no?
My brother was doing a thing, but I couldn't make it. Well, I could, but I was just too exhausted, and he lives 3 hours away, so I was a little lazy this year.
Where does he live?
I don't know, somewhere near Fresno in one of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think Chowchilla is what I want to say, but I might be dead
All right.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have family in Modesto that we go to sometimes for Thanksgiving. And that's such a pain in the ass to drive back on 580 and all that. Back into the Bay Area. So.
Just farts and everything.
Exactly.
Is there a fart sound?
Oh, yeah.
Much better. Much better fart sound. Last week's fart sound, not great.
A little too gross.
Yeah, a little too much. Hell yeah. But yeah, now we have like one. I feel like there's always like the big Thanksgiving meal, and then the Christmas meal, and then everyone promises to lose weight, and then, you know, I mean, you get drunk New Year's, and then everyone promises to lose weight. And then maybe that might work or not. Fingers crossed.
Do you ever do that? Or
no, not really.
No, neither do I.
Yeah. But it is what it is. People can do whatever they want. Do you do New Year's resolutions?
No. Sometimes I've done it before, but very loosely, and so they don't really stick at all.
Yeah, I don't, because I'll like write goals down for like a year, but it'll never come like at New Year's.
Right.
You know, I might update it maybe around New Year's or whatever, but it's very rarely. I have like notes on, you know, like on your phone, you can write notes, and I'll do it there. I'll have like goals, like a file or whatever that says goals, and then I'll update it. Usually it's like I know I have to like set up a website is like one thing I have right now that it's like I've never had a website, and I still like the only reason I think I need a website is potentially to sell something and to seem a little bit more legitimate potentially, but I don't even know if that's true or not. It just seems like it. And those are the two reasons. I know you just updated yours, right? I saw on your Instagram story. Yeah.
I've been doing a lot with my website recently. I've just been doing a lot with business-related stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. And speaking of goals, that's the thing that I've been trying to get better at, too, is just breaking down, like far off in the future goals and trying to break them down into smaller chunks. I have, like, little mini goals as I work up to them. Do you do that much?
Yeah. My sensei once told me that to climb a mountain, you must climb one rock at a time.
And I need a Japanese song on here.
And each rock you take a step, it seems easy, but then you turn around and you look and you're at the top of the mountain. Or some shit like that. I don't know. I don't know how that proverb goes. I know it's something like that. Something about one rock or one stepper or some shit. But yeah, I like to have like big overall goals, right, in life, and then like yearly goals, and then little tiny things that will get me to where I want to go. Usually, that's kind of how I break my goals down.
Do you write them down and do all that stuff too?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
That's good.
even things like simple little things, like I need to get this thing. I need to, like a website is like something tangible. Like I can just knock that out, at least some form of it, probably in like a couple weeks, like maybe like take 2 weeks and just sit down and every day work on it on whatever.
Yeah, probably even less than that, really.
Yeah, probably. And so it's like one thing where it's just like, I just need to do it. And I have a lot of little goals like that where then all of a sudden I just do it. And then maybe it might financially hit me that whatever time, but it's just, all right, well, like cross that little thing off or delete it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing I was taking forever to get my store back up on my website. So I finally did that and made a pretty big announcement on my socials about it. Yeah, exactly. I don't know website. But yeah, it's been pretty good actually. I just started promoting it on my email list and stuff, and I've already started making sales again, so that's
nice.
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. Almost sold out is what some people are saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So if anyone's listening and want something, they better hurry up because things are flying off the shelves.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And that's one of those cool things where you can literally just every once in a while promote your website or whatever, or update and say you got this dropping in your website, and then you can make your own sales without feeling, I don't know. There's sometimes where you kind of feel like you're pandering, or like you're like trying, you're forcing your audience to kind of, or like your social media audience to kind of, I don't know, be aware that you're doing something. I don't know if you ever feel that way, where you're like, am I like coming on too advertising? You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's definitely taking me a long time to shift my thinking about that.
Right.
And yeah, I figure at this point, I have so many followers at this point. Like if none of them are supporting me, then like there's only so far that numbers get you.
No, what I mean is, like, for instance, like Kim Kardashian or one of them, like pretending that you can eat a lollipop to lose weight or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a version of like trying to do advertising on your social media that's a little like suspect, and then there's like I think saying like, oh, I got this new thing on my website is cool. Like I think that's good because that's your shit.
Right. Oh, okay. I know what you mean.
And so I think for me, I'm always like, what do I want to like have my people that follow me kind of like be aware of that I'm trying to do.
Right.
Like if I'm selling anything, or when is it too much? When does it seem like I'm just every day saying like, hey, buy my stuff. Hey, buy my stuff. Hey, I have stuff to buy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Hey, have you seen my merchandise? Like, and then I just end up being another advertisement on their social media instead of being why they followed me in the first place, which is assuming that they just want to see my artwork.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, even though I don't sell shit on my social media, so it's probably the opposite. People are like, when are you gonna I get that all the time.
Do you? Oh, that was my next question for you.
When are you gonna do the prints of this? When are you gonna I mean, I'm working on it. I'm like slow and steady. I have no pressure to like sell anything right away. You know, I have a job, so and I want things that I want. Like I want what I'm putting out there, if that makes any sense.
Like put out stuff that if it was somebody else, you'd want to buy it.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, like one thing I really enjoy with artists is when they do something and I go like, fuck, I wish I thought of that.
Yeah.
You know, even like merchandise wise, I'm like, fuck, that's cool. I wish I thought of that.
Yeah.
And then there's like the other aspect of like everyone does these things, which is perfectly fine. And should I like dip my toe into it to get like my chunk of the pie or whatever kind of idea? You know, like Prince and all those things. Like everyone for the most part, every artist does prints, that kind of thing. And then you're trying to figure out like lower price point things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like the like buttons and stickers and those kind of things. Like everyone's trying to find like T-shirts and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's kind of doing that merchandise thing. I just enjoy when I see, like, even like Patrick doing those like earring hold, like the jewelry holder things.
Oh yeah,
I was like, oh, that's a good idea because it's
Ring
like original
trace,
art too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's cool because it's probably quick.
Yeah,
Original art. It's like a good, like, even just trying to figure out how to do original art fast.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like and still kind of hold true to whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah,
seems to be like a thing. I don't know. I'm constantly thinking about things.
Yeah, yeah. Especially since we've had the last few of our guests on, like Bagger 43 also does a bunch of merchandise that makes you go like, oh man, I wish I was doing that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was starting to think a little bit about doing things like that. I have no idea how I'm going to tackle that yet.
Yeah.
I'm not quite ready to sit down and think about all that yet, but it's definitely going to be something in the back of my mind to think about.
For sure.
Like even doing little figurines, like figuring out a way to make my figures into a 3D version of them. Sounds like a fun thing to try and figure out.
That'd be intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was actually just playing around with, like, I don't know if you saw like the little arrows with like the house on the end.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That was like me thinking about like a version of my artwork that could be branded and still feel like it's like associated with my artwork. That was me playing around with just that. Like, if I could, like, what are these reoccurring themes that end up being attached to my artwork that I could simplify and make into like a brand, like just playing around with that that like artistic exercise was what that was. And it was pretty fun. It was like, oh, this is kind of, I actually don't mind how this looks.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing to figure out for yourself.
Yeah, but I don't know how you would apply those, like, that design to anything. It's just kind of fun to play around with those things. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll pop up in pins or some shit. I have no idea.
Right, yeah. That's what I figured. Yeah, pins or stickers, something like that.
Yeah. But
just good stuff to, like, give away to people, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like Patrick was saying, like, stickers are a good business card at this point.
For sure. That's cool. Have you been painting at all?
Here and there. That's another thing I've been working on is working on this video for my Patreon. I've been doing basically documenting the entire process of a painting from the reference stage to finishing the final painting, and I'm probably about close to halfway done with the painting itself, but it just takes forever. Well, right now, 'cause I have to wait for the layers to dry, and then doing the, what do you call it, the editing of the video, which takes forever too. So that's been taking up most of my time recently. That, and I've been working a lot at the frame shop. So you got busy out there recently, so
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
holiday time.
Yeah. People just, for whatever reason, like he was telling me that in the summer, just people don't really spend much money on that sort of thing. And then as soon as kids are back in school or whatever it is, people start to spend money at home again.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. That's why waiting to dry, our Black Friday sale is we're super good at business, obviously.
Listen to us figure it out in real time.
Yeah. But yeah, I know we need to figure something out for waiting to dry.
Yeah. Speaking of, though, you've been working on the logo a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
That's been cool.
Yeah, for sure. Just trying to play around with it because we have that, like, because when the thingy for when you click on the podcast, it's like that waiting to dry that you did really quickly. It was like a stand-in for our final thing.
Yeah.
we just
left it.
Yeah. And every time I see it, I'm like, God, I need to update that. Like, it works, it does its job, but
right.
but
it was never meant to be like the thing that we're going to use to brand our.
And when I see
podcast
other like podcast symbol, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that one.
Right.
It makes me jealous. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, we're two artists. We should have something better than that.
I know.
But yeah, it is what it is. Even like we've had a couple guests on, and they'll give us like little stickers or whatever, and it's like, God, we should like have our stickers for our guest at the least.
I know.
Or whatever. We're horrible human beings. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it would be cool, I think, to somehow create something with the both of us being artists.
Right.
That is our artwork, but I don't know, figures out how to encapsulate the show in some weird way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's even possible.
I don't know if it needs to be like such a overall encapsulating thing, or just can be just like a cool image that people like to look at.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, we could do a person walking into a dead end, because that's exactly what our show is every time.
Exactly.
Who is waiting to dry? But yeah. Fuck, I was going to talk about something, but I can't remember. That's that dead end I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that fucking dead end. But I don't know. Yeah, logoing. What are your thoughts when you? Because I have this weird like cringiness to when people say that like your brand. You know, like that saying, like your brand.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but anytime anyone talks about it in like I don't know, like a direct way, because it kind of is true, but in some weird way, like it's also like when you think of when I hear someone talking about like a brand, like you being the brand and you thinking of yourself as a brand, I don't know, there's something weird about it where it kind of like it's like I don't like that at all. Like it's almost like you're purposefully trying to be portrayed or perceived by people a certain way. And your effort is to figure out which way you need to be perceived based on what lane you've decided to go down.
Yeah.
It's like this weird idea. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little weird when you have to think about your brand in that way, in a purposeful way.
Right.
I think also a lot of people who talk about brands are people who marketing is their job. So they're not necessarily the ones who have the thing that they're selling. They're more just selling the what do you call it? It's like the brand is the product to them. So it's weird to because I've watched a lot of things and read a lot of emails from people who their job is marketing, and they're not even like, their job isn't even marketing something in particular. Their job is marketing.
Right.
So, hearing them, it's such a different way of thinking about things, because it's so like everything is about like a brand and like weird acronyms like CRM and stuff like that. It just becomes a weird different language almost that it's hard to even wrap your head around. It just becomes a weird thing that the further you go into that, the less it feels like it's about what you do as a person or like as a job.
Right. Yeah. And there's, I don't know, like if you compare it to like, because where I hear it the most is probably, you know, in the music industry. I feel like I hear it all the time when they talk about musicians. And then I feel like the most heavily branded like version of that, I mean, obviously is pop music, but then it's like anytime I like dip my I don't know, whatever, my internet mouse into like K-pop music.
Okay.
It's like this weird exaggerated version of branding. We're like we're like the goth K-pop. You know, like we're like,
Yeah.
it's like this weird, like you're not really anything, but you're portraying it a certain way as like, it's like literally just like, it's like Hot Topic in a weird way. You know, like if you go to Hot Topic, they have like how to be a gothic, or those memes where they're like,
oh, sure.
6 things you need to be or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like
the K-pop goth starter kit.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like 6 things that are, yeah.
Yeah, black nail polish.
Right, exactly.
You know? So it's this weird thing where you can see it, but people love that shit, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I have anything like my identity is wrapped up in a specific look or anything, so it's hard for me to understand that in that context.
Like fashion wise?
Well, yeah, that's part of it. Fashion and music and everything like that. Like,
yeah, you have the dad look.
To go with my dad bod.
But yeah, I don't know. So you don't like ever think of like, I mean, I'm assuming most artists think of how their artwork's being perceived, but I don't know. I would probably have to like think about what artists might be. I mean, there's definitely like Shepard Fairey, I feel like is very much like a brand person, you know? And I love his work. Is there like a wink, wink?
Yeah, exactly.
Nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I need that. That's the closest thing I have.
But but yeah, it's it's like that. It's like and if you look at like a lot of like the really successful artists nowadays,
yeah,
it's very much just branding.
Oh yeah,
it's just brand. Everything's a brand. There are some artists that seem to be in both worlds. Like James Jean is like an amazing artist who's also great at branding.
Oh yeah.
So you can't. It seems like you might be able to dip your feet into both worlds, but
yeah, I think that even the artists that I both like in their art and their marketing, their art has a lot to do with how they brand themselves too. Like James Jean, I think is a great example of that. It's just his look, like everything about his work kind of bleeds into his marketing and his how he puts his work out there too. Yeah. Which I'm into.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's like a pathway to like super success. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's artists that are it's like this, it's like for instance Kendrick Lamar, right? He's like this super talented rapper who gets respect by like almost all music listeners that are really into like music in general, and then he's also has like pop fandom, like he's like radio being played on the radio and things like that. So it's like this weird dipping his feet into both like popular culture and still staying true to his art form. And and then there's like Taylor Swift's or whatever, I don't know, fucking who are very pop and very successful, but
right.
I don't know how much. I don't know. Maybe people in the music world, music critics love her. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Me neither. The only music critic I listen to is that YouTuber. What's his name? Like the Needle Drops or whatever. I can't remember.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. The busiest music. I don't know. I watch him every day and I still don't know his name. That's how fucking bad I am with names.
Or maybe his brand.
Anthony Fantano. Is that right? Anthony Fantano. That might be right. I might be dead wrong, but I might be right.
Let's just take it right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. One
about branding
thing I was like one of the goals for like this next year I have is like to like pull away from focusing on like not necessarily getting better, but maybe like my emphasis this year I'm going to try to be more risky is what I'm thinking. Like
in your art?
Yeah, like take more risk, like be more like if I have an idea and I'm afraid of it, just try it out. That's my new one new less like make a website less physical and more like art directed is being able to like give myself the go ahead to take risk.
Yeah.
Even if it like ruins a painting and fucks it up for a show,
yeah.
whatever. But
sure.
But that's like my art goal, like creative wise that I've had. I don't know if you have any or have any thoughts on, because one thing I've realized is, I mean, I've realized this many of times where I'll look back at my old work and I'll see more risk in it. Like,
sure.
I could see that I was like much more like ballsier there than I am nowadays.
Oh yeah. I look at my old sketchbooks. That's exactly what I think.
And there's something that happens because of that. Like there's something special that happens because of that. That it ends up being like, wow, I fucking really like that piece. And maybe you might like strike out more times, but then like the pieces that are like that hit, you just fucking, it's like out the park kind of shit, you know? Do you have a home run sound?
I don't.
God damn it. I'm just kidding. It's like just for the one baseball metaphor I've ever made.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's that whole like idea of like, I think the last couple of years have been super focused on just trying to get better and better
at oil painting. Yeah.
And now I'm like, I need to start taking bigger and bigger risk and kind of like loosening up a little bit and feeling like I can try and do whatever I want. Now that I feel pretty comfortable with the direction of how I'm painting and what I'm painting, then I'm like, okay, now I can mess around a bit. I mean, it happened a little bit in the two pieces I did at the Ben show.
Oh, okay.
I kind of felt that like I was playing around just a little bit, and now I'm like, I need to pursue that, not let go of like technique or anything. Just try things out that might
like seeing how far you could take it.
Yeah. Not necessarily for like take it for sake. If that makes any sense.
Right.
But just like if I'm like, oh, I want to do this, but it scares me. I want to just fight that, like that feeling of being scared. So I don't want to do it. You know?
Yeah.
And that also pertains to getting better, because there's some things where maybe painting it, like painting something, like an object or something in the painting, I'm not sure if I'll nail it, so I might decide not to do it.
Right.
So that also would help me out technically, like learning or figuring out those things, or feeling more comfortable in that realm or whatever. But it's all just me not trying not to be afraid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get that. I was trying to do that a little bit with the orgies in the dark that I was doing. And I started thinking recently about that series and kind of what I wanted to mess around with it too. And I kind of wanted to take it a whole different direction, where I wanted to there's an idea that I had that there's all these things that I have or that I look at or whatever that have nothing really to do with the art that I normally do. And there are things that I want to bring into my art a little more. I wanted to do it like as an experiment. I wanted to see what would happen if I just put two ideas that totally have nothing to do with each other into the same painting and almost make them look like almost like a collage, but just paint them. I guess I got the idea a little bit from seeing Emilio's show the other day or the other week, because he does this interesting like collage look of his work right now.
Yeah, I'm super into that.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like he paints it, but from a glance, you're like, oh, did he just like glue a magazine? Thing on there, and you walk up to it and you're like, oh no, that's amazing. He painted those, and he painted them in such a weird way where it's it doesn't match the painting and it doesn't feel painterly. It just looks like a picture. It's like this weird, almost photorealist technique in with like his eyeballs, which are like painterly and
right.
And then these abstract things he does.
Yeah. So for me, I wanted to take like these weird semi-abstract paintings that I just want to go completely almost to the point of unrecognizable, but then on the same painting do a little painting of something that I would normally never really paint, like a I don't know, like a still life of like a little toy car or something like that. Just something I thought looks cool and I would probably never paint, or even like the little river otter or something like that.
Right.
A little painting of that on there, just to see what would happen if, like, visually what that does to a piece. And it just kind of came out from like looking at my Instagram feed. Like all the stuff that I have in my feed is so different sometimes. Like it'll just be a painting, or be a big scroll of artists that I follow, and then like a meme or something, like some random thing somebody paints, or not even paints, but takes a picture of it, and it makes me laugh or whatever. And just putting a little bit of that into my work, I just want to see what happens if I do that.
It kind of reminds me of like the advice Nadezhda had.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Where she was like, you know, think about like things that influence you and then like take inspiration from that pretty much. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that kind of advice, which is cool. Yeah. You know, it also reminds, because I was, I'm really big into like cooking and also like the show Top Chef. I love that fucking show. It's like one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Don't judge me. But there's a show on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but it's like a cooking competition show, and the cooks on there are like some of the best cooks in the world. Like, it's like ridiculous. Their achievements they've done. So like most of them are like Michelin star restaurants. Some of them have like 2 Michelin star like for the restaurants, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's just like a group of chefs who are fucking like at the top end of cooking, and then they're being judged by food critics and like the gods of chef worlds, you know? And they're cooking dishes from around the world. So it's like they cook one episode, they cook like a dish from France, and then, you know, one's from like Mexico, one's from Asia or Japan, or one, you know, it's like, and they have to do like one dish. Like they did America and they did a Thanksgiving dinner was like the whole, and they have 1 hour to cook a Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, wow.
On like a plate, you know? And, but one thing that was interesting was you see how these like, these chefs think about how they create in their medium, you know?
Okay.
And there's this interesting thing where, to me, the chefs that I appreciate the most are usually the ones that have this like connection to the traditional way of cooking. And then they also have like a way of making it super modern and using modern techniques. And then there's some chefs who are full on modern, and there's some chefs who are full on traditional. And it really reminds me of the art world, where, you know, there's the different balances of how much of tradition do you hold, how far do you push forward, and all these things. And I feel like, you know, there's this thing where I was thinking while watching of like abstract painting is just like another way of painting. It's almost like another technique, right? And if you decide that you don't like it, then you're stopping yourself from ever using those techniques. But you can use them. But there's also the weird group that like, I only paint, you know, abstract, and I have no like representational work. And for me, a lot of the work nowadays that resonates with me are like people that are able to use whatever technique works for the painting they are trying to accomplish at that time.
Right.
And it kind of just, that was like one thing that I thought of while watching, and I was like, I really need to, like develop those like abstract techniques and like really just dive deep into it just so I can have them as a technique in case I need them for a painting.
Yeah.
And feel comfortable in that technique.
Yeah, totally. That's pretty much what I was trying to do with that series of semi-abstract stuff, that trying to figure out how to use these other techniques that that I could hopefully bring into my other stuff. Like even in this painting that I'm doing for the Patreon, the Painted Roses stuff, it's the same sort of picture I'm painting, but even in it, I'm experimenting with a lot more different textures in it, and just even that's kind of a risk to do that and document it on video for the world to see in that way. But it's been pretty fun. I've been just painting for such a long time now that I could take it as far as I want to go and easily bring it back to what I'm comfortable with if I need to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what it reminded me of when you were talking about it. It's like being able to kind of be in both worlds and, play around in them at the least, to see what comes up and to feel, at the end of the day, if like the work you start trying and you're like, well, this didn't turn out how I expected it and I'm not into it at all.
Yeah.
At least you like attempted it and hopefully had some fun and maybe got like, even if you get like a little something out of it, like it is what it is. Like you get that little bit of, knowledge or comfortability or whatever. That's a word, right?
Yeah, sure. I think it is. I'm sure I've used it before.
But yeah, I don't know. That was our
art talk.
That was yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've been super, because I haven't been really like that, and like I haven't been that productive art wise, but I've been like in my head a lot recently.
Yeah.
So there's all these like weird things I've been like, I don't know, in my head with. I've talked about it before, how I just like get in my head and I get in these like weird debates with myself, or like conversations where I'm like breaking down like ideas, or like even today I was thinking about sacrifice of the artist, and like what artists sacrifice to do what they do, and how to make that more appreciated, and also how to convey that so people understand. It's like, for instance, like me and MJ, we're not 100% sure, but right now we feel like we'll probably never have kids. And one of the determining factors of that is that we want to be artists, and we live in California, and it is an achievement to do both. I mean, people do it, don't get me wrong, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And so that's like like deciding your art form over potentially recreating a child or whatever is a sacrifice. But it's like it's like this idea of like how do artists convey or tell, or so people understand like the amount of time artists sacrifice for their craft, or like time with friends, or whatever. Like we are kind of lucky because we started this podcast that we get to like sit down and talk with artists and hang out with each other and whatever. But that's not the norm, I don't think. I think most artists
probably not. No.
Or like, you see each other at shows.
Yeah.
And maybe you have like one or two art friends that you hang out with and like on a regular, but it's not the most normal thing, I don't think, to like to have. We are out here, maybe the San Francisco group, they get to hang out all the time or whatever. I have no clue.
I think it's always less than people think.
Yeah. So you it's like limited time with friends and family, and it's a financial burden, and all these things, and there's decisions in your life that are life-changing decisions that you base around this love for putting paint on whatever, or doing whatever, and you're like, I don't know, it's hard to like explain to people and have them understand, but I think it goes back to that like valuing thing, or at least appreciating, but yeah, that was like a weird internal conversation I had with myself today. It was like just thinking about sacrifice and the whole like what artists sacrifice, and I mean I'm bringing it back to myself, but it's just is a thing. I mean, I don't know.
Is that why so many artists have pets? They don't have kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, my pet is my child, so how dare you?
That's just like your opinion, man.
That's a good movie. Nice.
Speaking of movies, you saw some movies recently that you liked or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Coen Brothers movie.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I forget the name. God damn it. Let me...
Ballad of Boogity Buggity Boo.
Ballad of something. It's on Netflix. Holy shit, it was good. Have you watched it at all?
I still gotta watch it.
How dare you? But let me... Sure. Ballad of Buster something, I think. Let me look it up. But it's by the Coen Brothers, and it's filmed amazingly.
I don't think I've watched the Coen Brothers movie.
Buster
I don't
Scruggs.
like.
Did I say Buster Scruggs?
You said Buster something.
Nice. Buster somethings. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a Netflix original. Blah, 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 blah. And it's a Western, and it's like a short story. It's like they have like those Western short stories. I think they just have like short story. I don't know if they do that anymore. They used to have like novels of short stories by blah 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 or whatever.
Right.
And it would be like a compilation of short stories by whoever.
Yeah.
I'm sure they still have those now. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we call them anthologies to make them sound more fancy.
But so it's like, I think 8 or 9 story, like little mini short films in one entire film. And it kind of, I don't know, it's just the way they did it. There was like exaggeration to the stories, which are great. And there's like a little mythology to it. And there's, I don't know, it's just done so well. And then like the short stories all kind of like as a group just are great. They're it's just a really and then like visually super gorgeous. I mean, you'd probably love it because it's like, very scenic, very landscapey.
Yeah. That's a word too.
Yeah. And it's cool because it kind of reminds me of, I remember talking about this before on the podcast, where I want to like capture, reminisce, like people reminiscing about a time based off of color palette.
Yeah.
But not necessarily based off the content. And they kind of do that. I mean, it is a Western, so there is that content, but they do this weird thing where the color palette and like, it like makes it feel like a Western, but the images are super crisp, super clean. So it's like this weird thing where it's a very modern movie, but it has a feel of Western and old timey.
Yeah. Huh.
So it's like this cool thing they did that I was like, that's kind of like what I've been like thinking about myself in my artwork. So I was like, that's awesome that they did that.
That sounds great.
But yeah, it's a great movie. I highly recommend it. Other than that, on the plane, I watched the movie The Meg.
Yeah.
And Skyscraper.
Nice.
So the Oscars, I know who's going to win those. For leading role, it's going to be Mega Shark.
Yeah. Mega Shark.
He's going to I like to think, I don't know. Beluga, homie Beluga. Such a bad joke. God, it's getting too much, Sergio. But yeah, those were two horrible movies. Two horrible movies, like the worst.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I watched this shitload of movies on the plane. I think it was like in total, planes with movies in total. I think we flew, I don't know, maybe 40 hours, maybe less. A little bit under 40 hours, I think, maybe 38.
That's insane to me
total.
to think.
So yeah, so it was a lot of movie watching.
All new for you, or did you go to any go-tos?
I watched Big Fish.
Okay.
That was the one, I think. I tried to watch the Avatar, but the second the native tongue came out, like the Avatar people, I don't remember what tribe they were.
Oh, okay.
But they had their language.
Yeah.
It was only in Korean subtitles. So I got to that point. I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to watch this movie.
Had you ever seen it before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was I was going to maybe watch Forrest Gump, but I didn't. That was the only other movie that I was like, oh, Forrest Gump. That's a top 5 for me, dead or alive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge Forrest Gump fan. Not Juan Plague of Crows, but Juan, the other one.
Oh, sure.
Becca's friend.
Uh-huh.
We've had these huge discussions about that movie.
Oh.
Because he thinks, or he thought, I might have changed his mind recently, but he has this theory that Forrest Gump is a movie that is conservative propaganda based off the fact that Jenny seems to be the liberal in the story and Forrest Gump seems to be the southern dim-witted guy who everything works out for, and Jenny being the liberal, nothing works out for her and she ends up dying at the end.
Yeah.
And so we've had these
an interesting theory.
long drunk conversations about him.
He's a good guy to have long drunk conversations about.
They're
stuff
super
with.
fun.
Yeah.
But I think I just.
So what was your rebuttal?
Well, we went back and forth forever, but then my final rebuttal that I think convinced him was that that Forrest Gump is actually the person who loses the most in the story because he doesn't actually care about the money he gains. The things he cares about the most in life, he loses. That being his mom and the love of his life. And that he actually doesn't win in the story. And then the story is a tragedy in general, and there's no real winner in the story. It's just
that's true.
So yeah, that was. I mean, he wins a child. That's his biggest reward. But he's not necessarily. He's like throughout the movie, he's kind of like going through the process, and then at the very end, he's not anymore. He's heartbroken and in pain, and he can't just carry on. I mean, he does kind of, but doesn't. I don't know. We both have a lot of we both really love the movie. So we went into depth about little scenes in the movie and things like that.
How many times have you seen it?
I don't know. Good chunk. Maybe
really?
Maybe 60 times. I don't know. Somewhere.
Holy shit. Wow.
I love the movie. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good conversation. If anyone has any input onto that movie being a propaganda for the Conservative Party, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Those are both interesting points. For sure.
Yeah. It was funny too because after he first told me, we had a conversation about it, and we were both really drunk at the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like my arguments were not that great. And then the second time, I wasn't as drunk, mainly because I was doing Sober October and I was totally sober.
Oh yeah. So this was a recent conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it was right around Halloween.
All right.
And I did research right after he told me, the day after he told me, I woke up and I was like, is this true? Have I been living a lie? And And it even like there's like theories out there on the internet, but there's also like the creator and Tom Hanks. I think Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks both were like, no, that's not true. We just wanted to tell a beautiful story about these people, about people or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, if they say it's not, I mean, unless they're like super into like, I mean, both of those people are not known to be conservatives.
Right.
So it'd be weird that they were like, I don't know. But yeah, that was one of the.
Is it based off a book? I'm trying to remember if it is or not.
I don't know. You know how many books I read, right?
I don't know.
3 total. I'm
3
just kidding.
total.
but yeah, I don't know. Maybe, possibly, or is it just I don't know. I
don't remember.
Wish we had the internet or something.
Yeah,
we could figure that out. But yeah, I don't know where we're going with this. But have you seen any good movies
recently? I'm trying to even remember the last movie I saw. I'm not much of a movie watcher. You know this already about me.
What's your problem?
I don't know.
That was a legitimate question. Sergio, what gives you the right? That's an Office joke. I think The Office is probably the thing I've watched more than anything in my life, though.
Yeah.
I was talking to, I think, Juan yesterday, and I was like, I think I've watched The Office like every episode over 100 times, which is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But
is he an Office fan?
He is.
Okay.
The one redeeming fact about him. Just kidding. But yeah. I don't know. So do you really not like movies, or is it just time related or something like that?
I wish I could watch more movies, but it's just a matter of having the ability to do that more.
Right.
It's basically what it comes down to.
Let's go through this. What's your like top, like if you go like off the top of your head, like movies that stand out, like maybe your top 5 movies. Desert Island. Let's do the whole Desert Island.
Desert Island.
You got 5 movies you can watch for the rest of your life. What are they?
Oh, dang.
What comes up?
First one, probably Goodfellas.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what else.
Just Goodfellas. I'll just take Goodfellas. Don't give me anything else. You're like Goodfellas, Godfather, Scarface.
Yeah, exactly.
Casino.
I could probably watch Fargo a bunch.
Fargo's good.
Yeah.
Have you watched the show at all? The TV show?
No, I haven't.
The TV show is amazing.
Is it?
Holy shit, it's good. I haven't seen.
It's good.
I still need to catch up on the last season, but season 1 is amazing. Season 2 is like holy fuck. Like I think it's probably the best like season of a TV show that I've ever seen. Ever. I'm like, it's so good. I don't know. It's so good. It's hard to explain. I think it's season 2. Pretty sure. I think there's only 3 seasons. I might be dead wrong. But if whatever season I'm talking about, it's the best one ever. But watch them all. But yeah. All right. So we got Fargo.
Yeah.
And Goodfellas. Goodfellas is your favorite mafia movie?
Probably. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Why do you have a favorite mafia movie?
I mean, I have 3 that are above that for sure. I mean, Casino, Godfather, and The Departed are probably 3 that I think are better than Goodfellas. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to hit the Lebowski again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more of a thing. Like I didn't watch The Godfather until way later.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of those movies, just like movies that are iconic, I didn't get to until much later in life anyway. So
for sure. Godfather 1 and 2, they just end up being the same movie though. So when I say The Godfather, I meant both of them.
Oh, okay.
At the same time.
I'm trying to think of what else. I know there's probably some epic movie that would be in my top, but
maybe the movie Epic.
Yeah, exactly. That one, the parody movie, epic movie or whatever.
No, there's a movie called Epic.
Oh,
It's
is there?
about fairies or something. It's
Oh,
like a
okay.
computer graphic movie or something
Oh,
like that.
all right.
I don't know if I ever watched it, but I know it looked horrible. So I probably didn't watch it.
Okay. I don't know if it's a desert island movie, but Terminator 2 was one that I grew up with and was my favorite for the longest time.
Good choice. It's a good choice.
And then Office Space might be my favorite comedy.
Office Space is your favorite comedy?
Might be, yeah.
It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's a really good comedy.
I just watched it.
What about The Big
not too-
Lebowski?
It's one of my favorites, but
Speaking about the brothers.
yeah, exactly. I just watch that movie like every line pretty much is a favorite. Yeah, that's why I see. That's why I like Office Space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because I feel like there's comedies that I probably like more than, like, for instance, I think my favorite two comedies are probably Coming to America and Step Brothers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they're not like Step Brothers isn't like the most creative.
Right, yeah.
But those two movies just make me laugh the hardest.
Yeah.
So that's like why they qualify as being my favorite comedies. Right. But there's other comedies that I think like The Big Lebowski or whatever, right? Like there's like these genius witty jokes and like these inside jokes you get through watching like these run-on jokes that end up being funnier and funnier and funnier throughout the movie. And they're just like creative jokes, but then the stupid like dumb jokes end up being my favorite, like end up making my favorite comedies. So,
right.
Which is kind of like Office Space is also another thing where it's like super creative and the character changes. He gets hypnotized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets hypnotized and slowly like fades out from his hypnotization, right? He becomes more normal by the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Garden Space or something like that, where like the character suddenly comes out of like this fog or whatever and becomes more and more a normal human being or something like that. It's like that like progression or change of a character subtly through a movie is like cool and awesome, but the movie just didn't make me laugh out hard enough times to where it ends up being my number one comedy. But I think it's a good movie, super good.
Yeah. I guess if I had to go with like movies that make me laugh hardest are like Jackass movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are just, but they're also like disgusting.
Yeah,
it's like nervous laughter. It's like, yeah, I get that. Is that 5? Was that 5 or 4?
What's that 5?
We'll just do one more just in case.
I know there's probably something I'm missing that's more actually impactful to me as a human being that I'm totally leaving out.
Like the Pollock movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Jackson Pollock.
Exactly.
Bollock.
Jackson Bollocks, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, damn. I know there's.
Come on, Sergio. How about a war movie? Were you into war movies?
Oh yeah, yeah. Saving Private Ryan would be high up there for me.
Spielbergy.
Yeah.
He made the list. Or like Quentin Tarantino. You're not a big Quentin Tarantino fan? I
am, yeah.
But he would make your list.
He might, depending on what day you have me.
It's funny because that's kind of how I go through like picking my favorite movies. So I go like, these are like my favorite directors,
right? And
then comedy is like a weird one where I just go like, what's my favorite comedy? What's like my favorite funny thing? It's like another like one of my favorite ones is, you ever watch Kung Fu Hustle? Oh, I love that movie so bad.
Yeah.
When I go through my list of like movies that are like my favorite movies, a lot of them are like that, like exaggerated, somewhat whimsy.
Yeah.
But in reality, like those like Big Fish is like one of my favorite movies. It's also like that, like, exaggerated. It goes back to like what Nadezhda said, where she talked about that, like, look at what you enjoy, and then kind of like, it's like, that's why I have like, I think 2 or 3 pages of my Moleskine book, which just like all the movies I love because I did it right after she said, "Do you do that?" Because I noticed, it's like after we do like interviews, like there'll be like a day or two after, maybe a couple days after, where like I'll like really, like the brush pen stuff I did like after talking with like brush pen artists and being like, yeah, I kind of do want to like play around with that. And
after every guest, basically, it's something I want to do because of them.
Right. But do you because I'll like end up
sometimes,
like I drew my dog after Patrick.
Yeah.
I was like, God, I need to draw my dog more. That seems so fun.
Yeah. Sometimes I do, not always. Yeah, there'll be some things, not necessarily an art thing, but I'll usually have do some sort of mental exercise that has to do with something I took away from the guest.
Right.
Like the Nadezhda thing. Yeah, it was thing that the jar of marbles sort of thing. I tried to think about that for a while. I think that started planting the seeds for where I want to go with that series I was talking about earlier. And then just all the artists since have contributed to my thinking about that in some way or another. Like, sure. Yeah, like thinking about drawing the dog or something. I was thinking like, well, what would I want to draw like that? And that kind of made me think also about that. Like, I don't have any pets at the moment, but if I did,
right,
it would be something like that. I draw Mello too. Then
you could have my cat.
Okay, I'll draw Greggy.
You could have her. I mean,
yeah, I know.
You could keep her forever.
I will not take her, but
okay. Are you sure? She's super kind hearted and everyone loves her. Super sweetheart. She's like a dog and a cat, but only the best of both.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I want to give her away. Yeah. That is called sarcasm in its driest form. Oh. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here.
There's that Bill Maher thing, if we want to talk about that at all.
Yeah. You have the mouse and we forgot to pull up a screen so our computer didn't off, so we have to la 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 la. I was gonna be a musician.
Were you?
You were just like too easy of a route.
Yeah. When you have that much talent, it's just too easy.
Yeah. It's all about the struggle. All right. So something happened. I heard like whispers. Like I saw something today. I was going to click on it. It was like Kevin Gates responds to Bill Maher's comment.
I don't even know who Kevin Gates is.
I think it's Kevin Gates. Isn't that the one that did Jane Silent Bob?
Oh, Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Who's Kevin Gates? A basketball player?
Kevin Smith is what I said. Can we edit that real quick?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this again. Yeah, I read this thing.
Sorry.
I read this. I saw the title of an article. It said, Kevin Smith reacts to Bill Maher's comments about... who do you comment on again?
Bill Maher.
No, Bill Maher commented on who?
Oh, on what? Wait.
I'm drawing a blank for the name. The comic book guy.
Oh, Stanley.
Stanley, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Bill Maher wrote a blog that has the comic book community in an uproar.
Oh, that's a deep community, too.
I know.
So, I actually don't know what happened either. You're telling me right now.
Right, yeah.
So I can react as furious as all of them. I probably won't because...
yeah. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to hear your take on it. But, yeah, basically it's he wrote a blog where everybody else was in mourning, and he decided to take a different take in his smarmy Bill Maher-ish way. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll read part of it in the smarmy Bill Maher-ish way.
Okay.
So
can you do it in his voice, or is that a thing?
I'll try. I'll do Kyle Dunnigan's impression of Bill Maher. So
he sounds like a teeth talker. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not really.
Like
teeth talker.
Sometimes there's like people that have like fancy talk voice. That's a thing, right?
Oh,
They talk with like their teeth. Like,
yeah, okay.
Oh my
I know.
god! Like, how do you do that?
A little bit, yeah.
Like, they don't open their mouth at all. It's weird. It's like this weird. I call it teeth talk.
Right.
I think that's a term, a commonly used term.
I think I know what you're talking about now, but TM, copyright, waiting to dry.
Hashtag teeth talk.
Hashtag teeth talk. All right. The guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in mourning. Deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. Someone on Reddit posted, "I'm so incredibly grateful I lived in a world that included Stan Lee. Personally, I'm grateful I lived in a world that included oxygen and trees, but to each his own."
Oh my God. God damn it.
Now, I have nothing against comic books. I read them now and then, or I read them now and then when I was a kid, and I was all out of Hardy Boys. But the assumption everyone had back then, both the adults and the kids, was that comics were for kids. And when you grew up, you moved on to big boy books without the pictures. But then 20 years or so ago, something happened. Adults decided they didn't have to give up kid stuff. And so they pretended comic books were actually sophisticated literature. And because America has over 4,500 colleges, which means we need more professors than we have smart people, some dumb people got to be professors by writing these theses like titles like Otherness and the Heterodoxy in the Silver Surfer. And now when adults are forced to do grown-up things like buy auto insurance, they call it adulting and act like it's some giant struggle. I'm not saying we necessarily gotten stupider. The average Joe is smarter in a lot of ways than he was in, say, the 1940s when a big night out was the Three Stooges short and a Carmen Miranda musical. The problem is we're using our smarts on stupid stuff. I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could only get elected in a country that thinks comic books are important. So that's his take on Stan Lee's death. First of all, do you agree with any of that?
No. Do I agree with that people back in the day were stupider. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then the people in the future also stupider. We're at the peak smartness now. Smarterest now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
We're the smarterest people.
Exactly. Hashtag smarterest.
So many hashtags this episode.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. He is, a lot of people, they compare us to each other because we're both known as pretentious cunts. But I don't know. I'm assuming he said this is like a monologue from his show is my guess, but I might be dead wrong. Because it even sounds like he's writing it to say out loud.
Right, yeah.
Like it sounds like his opening to his show.
Right, exactly.
And I think he just is trying to fill space. He's also a person who understands that controversy, gets you eyeballs and ears. So he's probably even happy that this is getting nerds angry.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not the biggest comic book person.
Yeah.
And but one thing when we went to Thailand, I went to this mall. This mall was, I think, 7 stories, and the entire store was anime and like comic book action figures. The entire store, 7 stories, all of them just glass cases. Each shop, just a shop with glass cases. The next one, same thing. The entire store. It was nuts. And one thing I realized when I was in there was like, I don't know, this might be just a already known idea, but I thought like these are like the modern day gods. Like they are like this version of human being who's like struggle and ideas to do good is the main thing, and it's kind of like almost like a replacement to religion in a weird way, where like,
oh yeah,
you know, you can see that it's almost like you're substituting an old version of religion for like this modern thing of like a beacon of good to like look towards, you know, of like what is doing good, and like the struggles of figuring out what good is, and all these crazy like legitimate concepts of ethic and morals and values in these books. And it's like pretty interesting to like think of it like that, because they are superheroes, right? They're like this super version of what it means to be a good human being, and they're like these complex characters. So I thought that was like, when I was in this mall, I thought it was like these like, I don't know, almost like when you go to somewhere and you see like little Buddha dolls or something, you know, like they're like the version. It's like this. I'm not saying they're equal, like they're perfectly like a substitute, but they are kind of like, you could see it that way of like, it's like having a cross on your wall or something. It's like you idolize these people for, you know, their storyline of being a good human being, which I thought was interesting. So the way he talks about it here is so demoralizing, as far as like making it seem like some dumb thing, when it's just a group of someone trying to break down ethics and morals. And the little I know about comics and comic book things, it's like, oh, there's always like the big evil, which is like usually earth ending. And then there's like small evils, which is like, I don't know, like fucking the Riddler or some shit like that. You know, like it's like these like little dangers for maybe like a city or of the day. And then there's these earthenders, which is very like you can just use that as a metaphor for anything nowadays, you know, like the earthender being nuclear bombs or whatever. I don't know. It was just interesting to think about it that way, comics that way, because I don't think I ever have. And then, I don't know, following that, now I have like this, which is like doing the opposite. It's like speaking down to it. But I don't know, if you then make comic books a religion-y type thing, then it makes sense that Bill Maher's talking shit about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. It is what it is. Bill Maher is also a person who thinks he has all the answers.
Right.
So
yeah, he makes his living being a smarmy cunt.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. That totally makes sense. I didn't think of it in that way. If you think of comic books as sort of, or superheroes as being like the new religious figures to some people, then yeah. And then I guess the take that I get where he's coming from about the whole thing about like things that adults usually do now this thing called adulting, or like that people call it that, like in that sort of like Arrested Development sort of way,
right? Which is also like a fucking asshole thing, because I guarantee you that Bill Maher has soft ass hands.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck that guy. Like, okay, how much do you actually work? You know, like Mr. like adulting. Like, are you saying that like this generation is weak or whatever? Like, I don't know. It's like,
I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, it's that whole like millennials bullshit. You know? Talk shit about millennials. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like, okay, you guys work so fucking hard, Bill Maher. You know, like, goddamn, like. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid idea. But whatever. You know. I don't know. It'd be fun to see when Bill Maher dies, because I want to hear the fucking person blow him off like his life was meaningless.
Oh, right. Yeah. Which will happen, I'm sure.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I give zero fucks about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, I'll listen to Bill Maher every once in a while, but like on YouTube, he has this thing called Overtime. Where, like, he has all his guests back on, and they all talk about topics. And usually, the person that annoys me the most is Bill Maher, because Because I mean, he's a person who has his ideas, and if someone has a good point and about a contradicting idea, he will literally just change the subject or say like whatever, like it's like you want to like it's like he wants a debate until someone has him in a corner and he's like, okay, we're done here. Moving on. And you're like, all right, man, I guess that's cool. But it is what it is.
There were some people, the nowadays, the overreaction is like, get Bill Maher off of HBO. It's like the one or two people who want him to lose his job over a stupid opinion.
Yeah. People probably say that every day of that man's life.
Exactly, yeah. I just heard it more because there were more people that he pissed off this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's never a good move to like talk ill of the dead, I think, unless it's like Hitler or something like that.
Yeah. It was a weird target to go after, but
like, anytime the person you're talking about can't defend himself because they stop breathing, I think is like a dumb move. It's like, all right, like there's other bad in the world or other shit to have an opinion on. I mean, I'm not saying Stanley was bad, but like you don't have to have an opinion about people feeling sad about someone's death. Like, that's a waste of your time.
Right.
It's just stupid. And to bring it back to, because, like, he created something that I was kind of into, but whatever. It's like, all right, how into it were you? I mean, like, I don't know. People think his life is based around politics. There's plenty of people that think politics is dumb as shit to waste your time worrying about.
Myself included.
And, like, but he's super into it because people are into different shit. You know, like, and if you're not into it, that doesn't mean that it's stupid or whatever. Or people not acting like adults or whatever. I don't know. It's fucking dumb.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a lazy opinion at this point to think that, it's just because comic book, it's just for kids.
Yeah, but he has to have an opinion about everything. You know, that's his job.
Exactly.
And it's stupid.
It's like, I read it. It's like, that's a dumb take, but I don't really care that much beyond it.
Yeah.
It's more that other people brought it up to me like, are you guys going to talk about it on the podcast? Like, I guess.
Well, we just did. Boom. And I had more of an opinion than you, and you're a comic book nerd.
Yeah, Mike.
Nerd!
That was good. I don't need. Aren't you a comic book? Like, were you super into comic books?
Not even. I mean, I watched the comic book cartoons more than anything.
Okay. That's as far as I got. For the most part. I have like the set of Spider-Man comic book or cards still.
Oh, you do?
Like the entire collection of Marvel, like from when I was young.
Oh, really?
Like a whole,
Huh. That's more than I have. I have like a couple of old.
So who's the nerd now, Sergio? You're looking at him. But yeah, my brothers, two of my brothers are super into comic books.
Like still are?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like they read like the novels of the graphic novels that are like too thick.
Yeah. I have a couple of graphic novels. Like Bill Sienkiewicz did a Arkham Asylum. That was a really good story, but I got it for the art and then read the story and liked it. That's about as far as my comic book nerddom goes these days.
Right.
So I'm more of an art nerd than anything.
For sure. Yeah. I guess I'm the same. But yeah, I don't know. And it is one of those things too where like the art community seems to be super inspired by, or like their initial love for creating. It's like for
that's like everybody, every guest we've had on.
Yeah. They're it's, I don't know. So you're just like picking a fight with things people find like sacred, or like reminiscent of childhood or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And no one ever like people get defensive as fuck when it comes to like that.
Oh, yeah.
That like thing of childhood, and
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're an artist, and that's kind of like what kicked off your art love, or your love for art or whatever.
Do you think the culture in general is more nostalgic these days than before?
No, I don't think so. Have you seen that movie, One Night in Paris or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I think that movie captures it perfectly.
Yeah.
Everyone's nostalgic about the time before.
Uh-huh.
If anything,
Yeah, I think you're right.
I feel like our generation isn't like that. We're more like nostalgic for our childhood. More than like, no one's looking back at the baby boomer era and being like, man, I wish I could go back to that era. Like, no one wants like, oh, bulk everything and microwave dinners.
Yeah.
You know, and barely.
Don't you want to make America great again?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because they kind of look back to even farther, right, than the baby boomer era.
Yeah.
Or I feel like they look to like the 50s or something.
Right.
That's like
yeah.
their, like, at least not our generation, but the generation of like the baby boomers. They seem to look to the 50s as like the generation to aspire to be, like, because the 70s were like hippie era. That's too liberal or some shit.
Yeah.
So, and then like the 60s were like where the sexual revolution happened, or
Right.
I mean, maybe the early 60s or something, but
That almost makes me think that's just genius marketing to make a whole era like seem like the best era ever, and it worked on so many people.
yeah. And those people are called. I was hoping you'd say something offensive.
People are called.
But yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong about reminiscing about, childhood times or whatever.
Yeah, everybody does it to a certain extent anyway.
Yeah. Unless you had a horrific childhood, then hopefully you're forgetting about it.
Yeah.
But
But even then, there's usually something you can hold on to.
Yeah, I think so. So, and yeah, it's that like time of innocence, the time of like not having responsibility and all these like things that I think it's like freedom at its like purest form, Hopefully your responsibilities of you are put on the backs of your parents or something like that, and you.
Oh, right. You're talking about, like the potential for.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think we reminisce harder?
I feel like there's more like these days people go back to their childhood, like things that they grew up with. I feel like they rehash them more nowadays.
Such as?
Like remakes of movies all the time and shit like that.
Yeah. Well, I just
don't feel like we were doing that much until like the last couple of decades.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what that is about. That is super annoying though. It's like movies being remade to like the highest level of like, we get it. God, like, but I don't know. I don't know if that's our fault or just
people grabbing the low-hanging fruit as far as what like, might make money.
Like Hollywood industry. I think their market changed, right?
Yeah.
So they need to make money off these movies, so they don't take any more risk as far as like indie films or things like that. So,
right.
So now the model is just like, well, you need something where it's like these remakes are just built-in branding and advertisement, and like they don't have to put that much work to advertisement if you already know exactly what they're talking about. If you're like Ninja Turtles, that everyone knows what that is already.
Right.
There's less having to educate your consumer about what they might be signing up for.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's the public's fault or just the changing market of Hollywood having to adapt to, people not going to the movie theaters as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's a beacon of hope. Netflix,
that's
and
true.
streaming, they're starting to pump money into these like new ideas like crazy.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And you're getting all this new original content that you're like, this wasn't a thing that long ago, and it seems like it's gonna come back.
What do you see like as a big new original concept that's really taking off these days?
I don't know if it's like a big idea. It's more like, remember, like, I don't know, like early 2000s, I guess, where there was tons of indie films. Like none of them were like huge. Maybe Juno was like probably the biggest one. I don't know. But like for the most part, they were just like films, almost like a rebirth of like the feeling of cult classic or something like that, where you're like in on like the like, oh, have you guys seen this new thing? Like it's not necessarily like gonna be Avatar or anything like that. But I think it's just like a bunch of little like, oh, this thing is awesome. Like the fucking Coen Brothers movie.
Oh yeah,
was like, oh, that was awesome, and just like this original piece of. Maybe it's based off of. I think might be based off of a book, but still, it's not a. I'm assuming not a really well known book. Maybe I'm dead wrong about this, but yeah, it's like that's awesome that they got to make that and make it really well, and probably it feels like they had freedom to do what they wanted. There's parts of it that, if it made it onto the big screen, probably would have not made it nowadays. They kill some Indians, in the movie, and it's not PC about it, and there's things like that. There's death and all that good stuff,
Yeah.
There's and it seems like they had the freedom to just create these movies without having the restriction of thinking what's going to be a box office hit and, and all these things that come along with creating movies for a theater, which you can see when you watch movies. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
They built in this love story for fucking no reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, beacon of hope, Netflix, and all those like streaming channels seem to be filling the gap of cult classics and indie films and just having the freedom to create things. It's like, the Terminator, like Terminator, for instance, like you mentioned Terminator 2, that's an R-rated movie and it should be.
Yeah.
And I think the last few Terminators they've created have been PG-13 movies.
Have they really? Oh, yeah. You're
so.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And that's because they know that PG-13 sells more tickets.
Right.
But it doesn't make a better movie. So you get a shittier, watered-down version of Terminator, which Terminator 2, I'm pretty sure everyone would agree in that series of movies is the best one. And it is so cutthroat and just so like raw in how they deal with like this robot killing machine that it makes it's why it's so great. It's just two badass robots going at it the entire time in a very brutal way, just ripping each other apart. And that's, you don't have that in these other versions because it's like, gotta keep it PG-13 and just editing artists in general is, I think, the worst move for creating a good product. But but you might create a more mass appeal by doing so. So
yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's that. I don't know how we even got here. Where were we starting?
About nostalgia and Bill Maher and all that.
Yeah, fuck Bill Maher or whatever.
Fuck you, asshole.
Was that Arnold?
Yeah. Speaking of,
worked out perfect.
I'm good at this.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about was this might sound like a commercial or some shit. I wanted to make an effort to make people rate and review our podcast.
Okay.
And so I was thinking maybe I'll give away something.
All right.
I haven't figured out what. I was thinking maybe a drawing or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
To anyone who rates and then reviews our podcast, because we want rates and reviews. We don't ask much. We've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even wrapping this podcast. I don't even know how much time we have, but
10 minutes to 2 hours.
Oh shit, this is perfect timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about this for a while. It's one of those internal conversations I've had.
Mm.
And I don't know if this will even work or not. Maybe it won't. But I have to figure out something. I think I have an old painting or something I'll give away.
Are you going to do a sweepstakes kind of thing?
Yeah, I think anyone who's written a review on our podcast, just message us on Instagram and tell us, who you are on the review.
Yeah.
And then a draw in the bucket or some shit. And then, yeah. Unless you gave 1 star.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Fuck it. Give me 1 star and tell me you want a painting. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, unless it's clear who you are on your thingy.
And if you gave us 3 stars before, maybe you listen to us again and give us 5 stars now.
I don't know. Maybe you can do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe give us a second chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, that seems to be the best way to grow this show. And, I wanted to this thing to be as successful as possible. It'd be cool, and, to hopefully, support itself would be nice. If it could just pay for itself, that would be great. I would be very into that. And potentially have us go on trips where we can interview people in farther lands such as Oregon or San Jose, far foreign places like
Sacramento.
Distant. We've traveled many moons and seen many things along our way. But yeah, so I don't know. That was my plea to maybe get people to rate and review us. So I don't know how much time. What do you think? You think maybe till the end of December?
Maybe episode 50. We'll say
hell yeah. Yeah, this is and that'll be about a year. We started in January. So I mean, it's been awesome. We've been I think we've had growth every single month.
Pretty much,
which has been pretty awesome. But if you guys could tell a friend. This is the thing we never do on the podcast, so I'm trying to see
if it works.
If it works, I mean, it should. I mean, at the least, we should try to do it. So yeah, if you could tell a friend or whatever who's a creative person, anyone creative,
or even if you follow us on Instagram and leave a comment on the on the picture of the episode, that helps us bump us up in the algorithms and hopefully show it to other people who are looking for art podcasts too.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So,
because we haven't been getting that many comments recently. Not sure why, but
because we're not that cool. But I mean, I understand people are on holiday as well. So I get that. People are eating turkey and buying presents. So they might be busy, but, we really appreciate all that shit. And
for sure.
So yeah, the end of December, I'll figure out something to donate, to dip in the hat. We'll post it on our thingy and then, so we'll mail it out to you. I'm fine with even mailing it across seas. But it'll probably have to be something light, like a watercolor painting or some shit.
For sure.
But yeah. So rate and review, DM or message us either way on our pictures. about what review you wrote. Just write like your name, because it's not always apparent who's writing what reviews, because it's like
yeah, that's hard. How would you verify that on iTunes? Because you can't really verify an email on there. But
you've got to be. They've got to message us on Instagram and let us know what review, like what their name is on the review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you wrote a past review, that's cool. You'll be a part of the group, the drawing, and then any new ones from here to December, the end of December. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good.
We'll do it. And maybe Sergio will donate something too. Who knows?
Maybe.
And maybe we'll have 2 winners.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Please rate and review us. Also, if you don't, we will find you. And what will Sergio do? Sergio, do the murdering sound of you murdering someone.
Oh, I don't know. This is the closest I got.
Shots fired!
No, that's the shots fired. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I thought that was the gunshot one I have here, but
but yeah. All right. I think that's good. Do you have anything coming up before we end?
I don't have any shows coming up yet, but I got my little
website up.
Yeah, I got my web store going, so I'm doing some pretty good deals for now for that.
True.
So I'll keep that going. I was originally planning on doing it till like quote unquote Cyber Monday, but this will come out on Tuesday, so that's to help anybody. So I'll keep it going, especially for waiting to dry listeners.
Podcast Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that should be it, right?
I think so.
Awesome. Well, this has been Waiting to Dry. If you're still listening, fuck off.
Watch your profanity.